Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode of On the Fin Side with Kat and Paul. You know where to find us on Facebook, Twitter, all of the social media outlets there. And we are in the middle of the draft, so we're going to get right into it here. The Commanders are on the clock right now with pick number 16. And just to review the board quickly, number 1, Trayvon Walker to the Jaguars. 2, Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions. 3, Derek Stingley to the Texans. 4, Sauce Gardner to the Jets. 5, Kayvon Thibodeau to the Giants. 6, Ike Ekwonu to the Panthers. 7, Evan Neal to the Giants. 8, Drake London to the Falcons. 9, Charles Cross to the Seahawks. 10, Garrett Wilson to the Jets. 11, that's where the run on the receiver started with Garrett Wilson there. 11, the Saints trade up for Chris Olave from Ohio State. 12, Lions trade up as well for Jameson Williams, wide receiver. 13, Paul's boy Jordan Davis in a trade up as well. 14, Kyle Hamilton stops his free fall at 14 to the Ravens. And 15, the Texans take Kenyon Green to play guard for them. So, Paul, so far, what do you like and what do you dislike?
I like all of these trades, to be honest with you. That was pretty cool. Just, no trades in the top 10. And then all of a sudden it was just bam, 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 pick after pick after pick after pick after pick. I love that stuff. Love it. And
Absolutely.
There's some interesting players still on the board here.
Yes, there are. And right now, the one that is that's falling here, I got to keep all my papers in order here. And if you can't tell, I'm in a different location here. I'm actually at the Lake of the Ozarks right now. And the premiere of Ozark is tomorrow. They don't pay me to say that, but it's just a coincidence that I happen to own a lake house down there. And it's been great to go down here and watch the draft. So if I seem a little distracted, it's because I'm waiting for the pick to come in as well. But right now, the top player on the board consensusly is Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end from Florida State. And the Commanders are on the clock. They've traded down from 11 to 16. They picked up a 3rd and a 4th from the Saints. And Paul, I think the biggest story of the night, though, is I have 6 picks correct. And I am destroying you again in our mock draft.
Oh, Jesus. We're going to talk about that. I hope a fullback goes next here.
It's luck because if you didn't get Trayvon Walker first, you're not going to get Hutchinson second, and then.
Well, I think I got Hutchinson second on mine.
Oh yeah, you did. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had Icky going first. My fault.
Yep.
And you also had Sauce going 4th, and so did I. So,
dude, I've had Sauce going 4th in every mock draft I've done since the draft order was set.
And that makes an interesting matchup because they signed DJ Reed in the offseason, and now they pair Sauce Gardner opposite him. And they paid DJ Reed a lot of money. I mean, 3 years, $33 million. Now Sauce Gardner, the 4th overall pick. So now you've got those two guys going up against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I still give the advantage to the Dolphins on that.
No, I do too. It's they need a lot more than just Sauce to be able to cover everything Miami's going to be able to throw their way, what they're going to be able to throw their way out of the backfield. Really all of those things. And don't get me wrong, Garrett Wilson and Moore are a good tandem, but they just don't put the fear in me with the secondary we've got.
And coming off the board here at pick 16, a little bit of a surprise, Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver from Penn State, going 16.
Oh,
that I'd say is the biggest, as far as the board is concerned, the biggest reach so far. He was on the consensus board 31st overall. So, yeah, I mean, he's a talented guy. In fact, I compare him a lot to O.J. McDuffie because of his ability in short space to get open. I don't like the fit, though.
I don't like the pick with what's left available
for the Commanders.
I really don't. With Traylon Burks on the board, I love Dotson, but I've got him behind Christian Watson, Sky Moore, George Pickens. And in all honesty, I'd prefer John Mechie, Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Austin over Jahan Dotson. So Washington picks like we're back in the early 90s and they know more than everybody else on the planet. And I don't think it's going to be the right move here.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I mean, and part of it too is that Carson Wentz, I've always viewed him as more of kind of a high ball thrower, where it's, you know, when he played with like Alshon Jeffrey, I mean, he was phenomenal. And I know a lot of things have happened with Wentz since there, but now you're going to put him in an offense where they've got Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson, and yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, and it's a big reach as far as talent. Chargers up here at 17. Pick is in. Zion Johnson is the pick.
I like that pick. It's given what's left on the offensive line board, what they need on the right side of their line, guard or tackle. I mean, hey, at least you know where the pressure's coming from. It's coming from in front of Justin Herbert's face on the right-hand side from that right tackle spot as far as it goes right now.
So, yeah, I mean, I would imagine they would use him at right tackle. I mean, he played left tackle at Boston College in 2020. He played, oh, wow. The Eagles trade this pick to the Titans. And I got a text that this might have something to do with, I'm not reporting this, but it might have something to do with A.J. Brown.
Oh.
That might be worth looking at here. I mean, I'll tell you, now that I'm not at home, even though I got the pillows behind me, I'm all out of sorts on this. Take a look here.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
The Eagles are trading for Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown. Tennessee gets the number 18 pick and more. Wow. What a offseason with receivers. Holy cow. So who's Ryan Tannehill going to throw to next year? Because you got to think this is Treylon Burks too. I mean,
it has to be a wide receiver.
Man. Well, Paul, we did break the story, kind of. No, actually, Ian Rappaport did, but we were on it pretty darn quickly, though. I mean,
wow.
Another team in the AFC gets weakened because even if Treylon Burks is the pick here, I don't understand what these teams are doing as far as trading some of the most dynamic weapons in the NFL and some of the biggest mismatch pieces in the NFL.
Yeah, but you know what? I said this to two different people today, a Patriots fan and a Jaguars fan. We really have the Jaguars to thank for all this movement this offseason. It feels like once the domino that is Christian Kirk got overpaid, and look, I think he can potentially reach that plateau of what he's getting paid as. But once he got overpaid, and that it's just everybody around the NFL landscape looked around and said, if he's getting that, I am worth this. And teams balked at it.
Yeah. He reset the market. He completely reset the market. I mean, $21 million for a receiver that is that never had a 1,000-yard season. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Ugh.
So
anyway, I am super excited about what the Eagles have done today.
Jordan, I know you
Davis, are. AJ Brown.
Yeah, definitely excited about AJ Brown. And I wanted Jordan Davis to go to a team that was not the Eagles. I mocked him to the Chiefs, and I would have even been okay with the Chiefs in a trade up for him because I wanted him to just be that like piece of a defense. With the Eagles, they're kind of retooling their whole defense. Fletcher Cox they brought back on a 1-year contract, but he's on the back nine. Brandon Graham in his 30s. They don't have a lot of really great players there on the front, on their defense, period. And Jordan Davis is going to have to shoulder the load. And I know he's a big dude, but I think he's going to be put in a position where he has to play 50 or 60 snaps a game. And let's see if he's up to the challenge because he's certainly
I think
talented.
not having to fight through 3 guys, he's going to be. And with an NFL offseason of conditioning and preparation, I think he's absolutely going to be.
Yeah.
Because teams are not going to be able to throw that many bodies at him at the NFL level.
Yeah, I'm not scratching my head here wondering, hey, why, what's the allure with Jordan Davis? I mean, I clearly see that. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So the Jets, Sauce Gardner, I thought was a great pick for them. And one we both mocked. I think it's the only one we mocked together.
Yep.
But then number 10,
I think we both mocked Hutchinson as well.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, and then I think we had the same one, another one later. But anyway, at 10, the Jets take Garrett Wilson, and I was pleased that they took him over Jamison Williams, really, because look, the Jets are not going to be not a team that's going for it all this year. I'm not saying it was a bad pick for them because Zach Wilson needs that wide receiver to go with him, and he's a good player, but after they missed out on Tyreek Hill, it was the Dolphins and the Jets, as we know. I thought Jamison Williams was going to end up being that guy, and it wouldn't have mattered as much that he didn't play in 2022 for the Jets. So I'm glad they took Garrett Wilson, who I think is going to be a good pro, but doesn't have that same upside as Jamison Williams.
I'll be honest. I'm glad they took Garrett Wilson instead of Chris Olave, because I think Chris Olave is going to be the better player in the long term. And if they were going to pick a receiver here, I like it. I like that over them finishing their secondary. I like that over them taking a Devin Lloyd. The only thing I am curious about is I think this means that the Mekhi Becton rumors were probably false, because they had their opportunities to take offensive tackles to replace him, and they did not.
Yeah, it was kind of weird today that it was leaked out that Becton was over 400 pounds. And today on draft day is the day that it happened. That's why I thought it might have been Ike Ekwonu at 4, and I was hoping it would be.
And that 400 pounds was during his knee surgery when he couldn't move. He's got a nutritionist that's been working with him. He's got a personal trainer. He's under 400 pounds. He's doing all the things. So all these people questioning his commitment, etc., just took a knee-jerk headline and ran with it.
The pick here at 18 is Treylon Burks.
I like it.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I think that's the only thing that made sense. I mean, he's a big-bodied receiver, and he's gotten a lot of comparisons to A.J. Brown. So yeah, I mean, it's and A.J. Brown is probably asking for, when you just like you referenced, Paul, Christian Kirk resetting the market there.
Yeah. Like it's astounding, especially since he is in the prime position to basically be a receiving threat, because resources have to commit so much to Derrick Henry that he's got lanes to run through that he's not going to have anywhere else. Anyway, I'm going to go top my coffee real quick. I'll be right back.
Go for it.
Some questions
we're going
to
to
the chat, guys.
Yeah, we're going to be taking some breaks here throughout the day, but I've got more than enough to just ramble on about here as the draft continues to go on. So we were talking about also Zion Johnson before, going 17th to the Chargers. And I'm interested to see, does he play guard? Does he play tackle? Because he did both at Boston College. This is a really good player. And I didn't expect both he and Kenyon Green, the top 2 guys, on the interior of the line to be gone at this point. So here we are at pick number 19 with the Saints, and Jermaine Johnson from Florida State is continuing to fall down. He's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, 6'4", 260, ran a 4.6, and was ACC Defensive Player of the Year. So somebody who has a lot of talent. I actually like Johnson going more here at this point of the draft. I didn't really buy all the top 10 or top, so some people had him going as high as 4 to the Jets. And I thought that was insane. So I think now he proposes a little bit more of a good value pick. And Grandizer in the chat also asked, did I see what the Saints gave to the Commanders to move up? Yeah, a 3rd and 4th round pick. And in addition to A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, has been traded to the Arizona Cardinals. This is insane. I mean, somebody who came into the league as just this one-dimensional deep threat guy. He was a first-round pick with incredible speed, but you're talking about somebody with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, caught 90 passes this past year. So this is, I think, a great trade, unless they gave up something crazy for him. I haven't seen the compensation for it when it comes to him. So let's take a look here. And while we're there, the Saints are also on the board here, and I had them taking Malik Willis here, saying, okay, Jameis Winston we have on a 2-year contract, but not a sure thing. And now you have a chance to get a real elite athlete here. So that makes a lot of sense here if they were to take him, but they could also have a value guy in Jermaine Johnson. That would also make sense. So the Cardinals are acquiring Marquise Brown for Baltimore's 3rd round pick. Wait a minute here. All right, so the Cardinals are giving up their 23rd pick to the Ravens for Marquise Brown and a 3rd round pick. So, I mean, I think that's still a phenomenal trade for a team that's looking to continue here to add speed. So that certainly makes a lot of sense. NYC Fins asked, with all these guys falling, should we trade into the 1st round? Now, I don't think the Dolphins have the capital for that right now. One question that Paul and I have continued to ask here over the last couple of weeks, really the last couple of months, is, since the Tyreek Hill trade, is at what point do you start looking at players who are dropping maybe into the middle of the 2nd round, late 2nd round, early 3rd round? That would make a lot of sense. And a couple of players that I look at, the one guy I've always had circled on that is Tyler Linderbaum. Because if he ends up falling, let's say to the middle of the 2nd round, because he's so scheme specific, then I could see that being a possibility that they start to package this year's 3rd and 4th, and I don't know, maybe a 2nd plus next year to move up to that spot. That would make some sense. And a Miami kid, Jay, in the chat as well said Deebo Samuel might be next. You never know. I mean, crazy things are going on here. I mean, and the Ravens traded Hollywood Brown to the Cardinals, and now they're going to come back up 23rd overall here in a few picks. And the Saints get Trevor Penning here at pick number 19, just came off the board. And now there's going to be a big drop, at least on the consensus board here, for at offensive tackle. So, when I talk about the consensus board, I'm talking about I combined 17 mock drafts together. And you could find those on Twitter at Brian Cat NFL. And after this, Trevor Penning is the 22nd consensus player on the board. After that, you don't have the next one until pick 42 or until slot 42, which is Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan. So it makes a lot of sense that they just go ahead and sew this up here. And now the Steelers are on the clock. And shockingly, all the quarterbacks are available. I mean, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, they have their pick of the litter. I always had the Steelers not drafting a quarterback, and this might start ending up being a story as things continue to go along. It's quite possible at this point that no quarterback goes in the first round at all. So we'll see on that. Hey, John, what's going on? John Gordon asked in the chat, has KC picked yet? The answer is no, and I'm surprised that they haven't traded up to kind of get into this receiver market when you consider how unexpectedly crazy everything got at receiver. But the Chiefs are a team that wants to sit back, hold their cards close to the vest, and it does make sense on that. So we will see. And don't worry, Paul is perfectly fine. He's still alive. He is tending to something here. But just running down the top players on the consensus board, number 1, Jermaine Johnson. Number 2, linebacker Devin Lloyd out of Utah. The Steelers are fine at inside linebacker, so I don't see that being a thing. Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa doesn't really fit what the Steelers do as far as they're more of a man blocking scheme, so I don't see that being the case. Trent McDuffie from Washington's a possibility. He's the 4th guy consensusly. 5, Nakobe Dean, another linebacker. Andrew Booth, the cornerback from Clemson, certainly a possibility. They have a big need at the cornerback spot. Their best cornerback right now is Akilo Weatherspoon, so that's not a good situation there. And he's one of my favorite players in the draft. Somebody 6 foot, 200 pounds. I think if he had worked out this offseason and he didn't have that double hernia surgery, then we would be talking about somebody who is taken in the top 8 or 9 picks. That's not the case. He had that because he had that surgery, but the pick is in. It's going to be up here after this commercial break. Also, too, maybe a safety to pair with Daxton Hill. Or excuse me, with Minka Fitzpatrick, and that could be Daxton Hill. They re-signed Terrell Edmonds, not Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine plays for the Bills. Hard to keep them straight. And his younger brother, Trey Edmonds, is a backup running back for them too. So it's really hard to keep it straight. But as far as this pick, Lewis Seen makes a lot of sense. Daxton Hill makes a lot of sense to pair with Minka Fitzpatrick back there in the secondary. So Brett Boss asked, would you trade up for Nakobe Dean? I wouldn't. And I not only would I not, but I don't see him as a steal at this point. As somebody who's 5'11", 231 pounds, I like him, but like to be that size, you have to have basically no questions about you. And he didn't test out for a lot of people this offseason. And when you look at the linebackers and what they ran, I mean, so many of these guys running. I mean, Devin Lloyd didn't run very well, but you're talking about Quay Walker, his teammate, who's 6'4", 242. And I know Dean is a better football player, but Quay Walker has better length and ran a 4.52 and tested out better athletically. And I don't think Dean would have tested out as well athletically in those areas. So even though I like Nakobe Dean, unless he falls deep into the second round, which I don't anticipate, then I don't see that happening. So let's see here at pick 20. They have their pick of the group. Will it be Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett? Will it be a safety? Jermaine Johnson as a value pick? We'll see here. And Grandizer, Jermaine Johnson here. I'd be a little surprised because he projects more as a off-ball linebacker, and they play more of that pure 3-4 style defense for them. Um, I think they're looking for somebody a little bit more bendy, a little bit more whips around the edge, and I'm not quite sure if that's the case. Here we go. Pick number 20. Franco Harris is announcing the pick. And after that, we've got the New England Patriots. And I have a strong feeling they're going to take Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah. When you look at in 2008, they took Gerard Mayo, who's now their defensive coordinator. His career was cut short because of injuries, and shame for that. I mean, not a shame for the Dolphins, but he was a really good player. And then in 2012, they took Dante Hightower, who's currently a free agent, who may come back to the Patriots. But they seem to supplant that linebacker and that signal caller for a long time there. So it would make a lot of sense there for the Patriots. Whoever they take, we hope it's a bad player. Here we go. Kenny Pickett is the pick here. King Short, I'm not sure if that was a prediction or you knew that ahead of time. I might be on a little bit of a delay. The reception is not the best here. I may be offline for all I know. So, but from the University of Pittsburgh stays there in state. And, somebody who was not on the radar up until this past year. And threw for over 42 touchdowns. And he either beat or tied Dan Marino's record there for touchdown passes in a single season. So, he's somebody who has kind of followed that Joe Burrow type of pathway to the NFL where he looks really good and really smooth throwing the ball, but he doesn't quite have the pocket navigation skills that Joe Burrow does have. So it's not a comparison because that trait is what makes Joe Burrow special. But he's got good arm strength, and a lot's been made about his hands, and there is some to that as well. Especially if you're playing in Pittsburgh, you're going to be playing in some poor weather games. I think it's worth the risk at this point. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. It's an okay pick. But if Kenny Pickett is the 8th or 9th best quarterback, even in the AFC after a couple of years, then, we're talking about that being good value because he'd be on a rookie contract on a team that's well coached with Mike Tomlin. Brian Flores is there now as well as the linebacker coach. And, it's okay. I don't hate it. So here we go. The Chiefs have now traded up. John Gordon, if you're still listening, the Chiefs have traded up to the spot here, and that I think this is going to be Jermaine Johnson here. It would make a whole lot of sense. And see what happens. So if you're in the chat there, I'm curious who you think the Chiefs are going to pick here with pick number 21. I'm thinking Jermaine Johnson, but and it doesn't surprise me that the Patriots have traded down here at this spot, because they do like those trade downs. So let's take a look at what the Chiefs got with compensation. So the Patriots got picks 94 and 121. So they got a 3rd and 4th round pick for the trade down from 21 to 29. So really good value there. And the Chiefs had extra picks in each of the draft. So that also makes a lot of sense. And they were just laying in wait for a player that you would think was falling. And there are a couple of guys like that. The major guys that would make sense there are Jermaine Johnson and Daxton Hill. Here we go with the Chiefs pick here. Trent McDuffie, the cornerback out of Washington. So yeah, I mean, somebody who has just been a really good football player for Washington. I mean, didn't test out all that well athletically, had under 30-inch arms, and is more of a zone type of cornerback. So what makes this interesting for me is that the Chiefs have gone away from Sam Madison as the cornerbacks coach, but they still have Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive coordinator. So they're playing that press man coverage. So, you know, he's a good zone type of cornerback, but I don't think he fits as well in this defense. I'm a little surprised here. He's feisty, that's for sure, but I'm surprised to see the Chiefs kind of switch it up and trade up for this as well. But he's overall a really good football player. So now the Packers are on the board, and the question becomes whether or not the Packers are going to go wide receiver. They're going to go in a different direction. So here with the Packers, you know, it's going to be an interesting situation that's going on, because everyone has been dying for the Packers to take a wide receiver over the last couple of drafts here. and it hasn't been the case. I mean, they haven't drafted a receiver in the first round since Javon Walker in 2022. So we'll see what happens on that. And they tend to take bigger athletic types of defense.
All right, folks, apologies. I got called away for a minute. We're going to go ahead and end it here, like Kat said. And